Hi everyone, welcome to English Digest. I'm Pat.
And I'm Tom.
So we're starting off this month with a look at some of the world's most famous marathons. Have you ever thought of doing any long distance running, or you've done some before at all?
I think I did a 5K run back in college.
Yeah, you're more of a biker, aren't you? Bicyclist,
yeah, I guess you could say that. But no, I've never really thought about running a marathon. How about yourself?
No, not really. If I was going to do it, it would probably be one that we'll mention a bit later on, which is the London one, because you can wear like a daft costume and sort of, I wouldn't run it seriously. I would just be, if I can finish this today, so it doesn't matter how long it takes. Then
yeah, that one does sound like fun, the one in London, which we're going to mention in our article. We're going to talk about some of the big marathons, like the Boston one, the New York one. I guess there's one in Berlin as well.
Yep.
And, of course, there's one in Taipei here. I can't remember exactly when it takes place, but there is a Taipei marathon as well.
Yeah, there's another one in Tailuga, Taroko Gorge, which if I was going to do one, I might also want to do that one because the scenery... as you're running through, looking at the gorge and all the mountains and stuff, that would seem more inspiring than running along the bridges and highways in Taipei, which, not so much fun. But anyway, let's take a read through our article and find out about the world's most famous marathons. One of the biggest achievements in long-distance running is completing a marathon. 42.195 kilometers, km, of often painful endurance exercise. Over 800 marathons are held around the world each year. 6 of them are considered to be majors, races full of history and prestige that all serious marathon runners want to attempt at least once in their lives. 3 of these major marathons are held in Boston, Chicago, and London. Founded in 1897, the Boston Marathon is the oldest annual marathon in the world. There are several notable spots along its course. One of these is the Scream Tunnel at Wellesley College, where students greet the runners with a deafening roar. Another is Heartbreak Hill, a slope that rises 27 meters. While this isn't the highest hill on the course, it's located at the 26 km point in the race, where most runners have burned up all their blood sugar and are starting to experience fatigue. The Chicago Marathon course is flat and fast, so many runners try to break world records there. Only 45,000 people can register to run, and they must finish within 6.5 hours to be certified as official finishers. Many wheelchair athletes also take part, including Tatiana McFadden, who has won the last 6 Chicago marathons in the women's wheelchair division. The London Marathon is known for its connection to charity. The event is the world's largest one-day fundraising event. Many people choose to run this race wearing costumes to raise awareness of various causes, so there are always plenty of amusing sights to see. In the end, whether you run a major marathon or a local one, completing the course is one of the toughest things you'll do in your lifetime, and something you can look back on with pride.
All right, everybody, let's discuss the contents of today's lesson. I should point out here that we are talking about marathons today. And if you listen to Pat reading his article today, you'll notice that he was saying marathon, whereas Americans like myself say marathon. So there's just a slight difference in pronunciation there, but both are correct. It depends on who you're talking to. But we're talking about the world's most famous marathons. And a marathon is a race of, 26 miles.
Yes.
And what is it, 685 yards or something like that?
I couldn't tell you in yards. No.
I can't remember the exact addition. It's 26 miles plus a certain number of yards. We can look that up shortly here, but we also have the distance here in kilometers, which we'll get to in a second. So yes, let's talk about the first sentence here of the article. It says, one of the biggest achievements in long-distance running is completing a marathon, 42.195 kilometers of often painful physical endurance exercise. So this is long-distance running. There are different lengths of races. There's like the 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters. Those are short-distance running events. But this one's long-distance, like the 10K or the 3,200-kilometer steeplechase or the 5K or whatever. But this is the granddaddy of them all, the marathon.
That's right. I think it goes back in history. I think it's the distance between, Marathon and Athens, I think, where a runner has to run that whole distance to bring the news of a victory. And so that's the distance. That's why it's that distance. It's celebrating this historical feat. But it involves endurance. Endurance is the ability to go through and kind of survive unpleasant or difficult conditions. And when we're talking about sport, endurance relates to any kind of race or sport that takes place over a long distance and demands a lot of stamina. So with a long distance run like this, you're not trying to sprint your fastest the whole way. You're trying to measure out all the energy you've got over this long distance and just keep going as your muscles start to burn, as you run out of sugar, as you refuel with water and other stuff. And that's why it's often painful. I mean, the human body isn't really designed to run like this.
Right, or experience other long-distance events like the Tour de France.
Exactly.
That would require a lot of endurance, or swimming the English Channel, for example, or swimming from Florida to Cuba would require a lot of endurance. And over 800 marathons are held around the world each year, including the one here in Taipei, and 6 of them are considered to be majors, okay? So if you want to run a marathon and you want to be in one of the marathons that would really give you a lot of credit, would be to run in a major marathon, which we'll mention here in just a couple of seconds. But yes, indeed, 6 of those marathons are considered to be majors. They're full of history and prestige that all serious marathon runners want to attempt at least once in their lives. So prestige is kind of like glory, recognition for something that you've achieved.
Yeah, usually something with prestige has a lot of important history around it. We'll learn that some of these are very old races. So they're kind of known around the world for being, these are the best ones. These are the ones you want to do. So Tom mentioned earlier some of those majors also include New York and I believe Tokyo and Berlin are the other 3 big ones. We're concentrating on 3 particular majors, which are Boston, Chicago, and London. We see that founded in 1897, the Boston Marathon is the oldest annual marathon in the world. Something that is annual takes place every year. It's related to words like anniversary, which is something that happens on the same day every year, like a birthday or a wedding anniversary. So what we're saying here is this is the oldest of all the races that takes place basically every year, and at the same time every year, the same weekend, give or take a day, people will get together and run this marathon as they have been doing now for around 120 years.
Yep, that's a pretty long marathon, the one in Boston, which is in Massachusetts, in the USA. And again, as you said, annual means something that takes place once a year. Now, there are several notable spots along its course, okay? So if they're notable, that means they're worthy of mentioning. They are famous. They're worthy of attention. They're worthy of a notice. So these are some spots or locations along the course of the Boston Marathon, which I guess is the same every year. Maybe they change it a little bit every year.
Maybe a little, but I think some of these are ones they always put. I know the London one pretty much follows the same course every year unless there's major road work. So now one of these notable spots is the Scream Tunnel at Wellesley College, so one of the university schools in Boston. And it's a tunnel, so it goes either under the ground, through a hill, under the road, something like that. And students from the college greet the runners as they come in with this deafening roar. So if something is deafening, it's loud enough basically to make you go deaf and kind of damage your ears for a period, either permanently or temporarily. And a roar is that really loud, deep-throated noise like a lion makes. And as you can imagine, in this tunnel with all these students roaring and screaming and cheering, kind of shouting at them, the noise is going to bounce back and around the walls. It is going to be deafening, but apparently it's a really popular part of the course to run through. It gives you a lot of energy and excitement. excitement.
Yes, it stimulates your adrenaline and encourages you to continue with this grueling race. So that's one of the famous spots along the course of the Boston Marathon. And another one is Heartbreak Hill, which is a slope that rises 27 meters. Now, if you talk about a slope, that's a part of land that goes from a lower elevation to a higher elevation. And oftentimes we use the word slope to talk about ski resorts. I don't know if you've done any skiing before, Pat,
Nope.
but in Colorado in the U.S., of course, if you go to, say, Steamboat or Vail or in those places, of course, they have lots of slopes to ski down.
That's right. Now, 27 meters sounds quite high, but as we point out in the article, this isn't the highest hill on the course. There are higher hills. Of course, running uphill is always going to be pretty tough. 27 meters up a slope. It depends how steep it is. If that 27 meters comes quickly, it's difficult. If it's a gentle slope, it won't be so hard. But the difficulty about this hill and why it's called Heartbreak Hill is it's located at the 26-kilometer point in the race. So just over halfway, maybe half to two-thirds of the way. And this is where most runners have burned up or used up or expended all their blood sugar, and they're starting to experience fatigue. Fatigue is what happens when your muscles are not getting enough oxygen, so they start to really burn. You get that sort of like sharp feeling and you just can't move them anymore. And you also run out of blood sugar, so your body's starting to break down other things, and that causes acid to be produced, which gives it that burn reaction. So all your blood sugar, it's gone. So you're now having to start using up bits of fat and muscle, and that's causing fatigue, this exhaustion and the burn in your muscles. And it's just at the wrong time, this hill. It just kind of gets them like, oh no, I'm out of energy and now I have to go up.
Right, that must be very heartbreaking, hence the name Heartbreak Hill, and I suppose a lot of marathoners are discouraged at that point and may give up, but the determined continue on to finishing the race. So that means that the Boston Marathon is quite difficult, but just in a couple of seconds we're going to talk about the Chicago Marathon, which is mostly flat, so it's much easier, but there people try to break records and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that in just a second, but right now we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 我们今天首先来看到第一个空格的句子，它写着 Six of them are considered to be majors, races full of history and prestige that all serious marathon runners want to blank one at least once in their lives. 在这里呢，讲到的就是马拉松。在这里呢，有其中6大项被视为是很重要的马拉松，我们称之为大满贯，而它都是因为呢，有着这个历史跟声望的赛事，而这样的马拉松是所有非常认真的跑者呢，是一定要在一生当中怎么样的呢？第一题的 A 选项 approve 赞成， B attempt尝试， C surrender 投降， D suspect怀疑。那么在这里呢，当然是这些认真的跑者一生当中一定要尝试一次，所以搭配文意，第一题的标准答案我们就选择 B attempt。 而今天文章里面呢，就要介绍其中的3场重要的赛事。首先来看到第2段的第一行Blank 2, in 1897, the Boston Marathon is the oldest annual marathon in the world. 在这个句型结构来看的话，后面的主词 the Boston Marathon 它可以说是世界上呢历史最悠久的马拉松赛跑了。那么来搭配文意，我们会说这样子的马拉松赛事是于1897年所创立的，而创建的动词是 found F-O-U-N-D 搭配主词，主词呢被创建，所以我们要用 VPP 表被动。第2题的标准答案我们就选择 A founded。 在这里要请同学把它跟 find 发现这个字的过去式或过去分词 found 要做个区别哦。接着我们要看到是在 Boston Marathon 有几个重要的景点，第一个我们讲的是 one of these， 而另外一个 就要考考同学对于文法的理解。第三个空格要填的呢，就是 D 选项的 another 来表示不一样的景点。第一用 one， 另外一个则是用 another， 所以第三题的标准答案就选择 D another。第四个空格 blank 4 This isn't the highest hill on the course. It's located at the 26 km point in the race. 在这里呢，我们先来看看选项 A when 当什么时候， B unless 除非， C while 尽管虽然， D since 因为。尽管这个 hill 呢，这个叫做称之为心碎坡，它并不是赛道当中最高的坡道，但是它却是位于呢赛程当中26公里的地方。那么后面的句子则说明这个地方啊，刚好是大多数跑者的血糖已经消耗殆尽，开始感到疲惫的地方。所以尽管它不是最高，但是却是最难克服的一个点之一。搭配文意，第四题我们可以选择 C 选项的 while。
We're going to take a short break now, but please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our article about marathons. We've just talked about the Boston Marathon. It's a really old course with interesting points. We're going to move on to the Chicago Marathon here, and the course, which is the running track basically, of course it's all roads and hills and other paths. It's flat and it's fast, so there aren't too many hills, which means that people can get really fast times. They're not saving energy. They can go a lot quicker when they need to. Therefore, it's a fast course, so many runners try and break world records there. They go, okay, this is the one where I can get my best time, break a record, and it's just a fast course. It's one of the ones that's over quicker than some of the others.
Because you don't have to go up steep hills and things like that. So if you've ever been to Chicago before, you know that Chicago is on the shores of Lake Michigan, and it's very flat there. They don't have a lot of steep hills like Boston does. So it's flat, and therefore it's fast. And of course, they try to break the world records there. Only 45,000 people can register to run, and they must finish within 6.5 hours to be certified as official finishers. Now, that's a big number there. 45,000 people can register to run in a marathon. It's often difficult to participate in a marathon because they only have so many places for it. And for some reason, there are a lot of people who want to run a marathon. It's kind of like a life goal or something that they want to achieve in their life. They want to see a solar eclipse or see the northern lights or climb Mount Everest. And some people, of course, want to run a marathon, but, you know, they have to limit the number here. And so only 45,000 can register. If you register, you apply formally, you fill out a form, and you have to submit that registration or application form in order to be accepted. If you're not accepted, you're not allowed to participate.
Yep, you'll have to wait until the next year. Now, these runners, they also have a time limit of 6.5 hours, and they've got to finish in that time to be certified as official finishers. To certify is to formally confirm something, often with a certificate, hence certify. And we especially use this to recognize that something meets an official standard. So basically, if they finish within 6.5 hours, they'll get an official, you ran the marathon, you did it, well done. If they miss that time, then they don't quite make that. But that's not why everybody runs. Some people just run to make money for charity. So these are more for the official ones who want the completion. Now, it's not just people running on legs. As we see, many wheelchair athletes also take part. Wheelchair athlete is, of course, somebody who's in some kind of wheelchair or movement device. Their legs either do not work properly or they've lost them. But they are still athletes. They are still professional sports people with a great amount of athletic ability, strength, speed. You know, they've trained their muscles to be able to do these things. And so they get regular athletes and a lot of wheelchair athletes as well taking part.
Indeed, participating. And an athlete, of course, is somebody who does some kind of sport. It could be track and field, it could be basketball, it could be soccer, or whatever. So these are wheelchair athletes. They must have pretty bulky arms if they're going to do this.
Yes.
Because they would have to complete the course using the power of their arms only. Of course, they can't use their legs. They're either paralyzed or maybe their legs were, what's the word for that?
Amputated.
Amputated, there you go. They may have amputated legs or something like that. So we've got an example of someone who participates in a wheelchair, an athlete by the name of Tatiana McFadden, and she has won the last 6 Chicago marathons in the women's wheelchair division. So they have different divisions or different classes in a marathon, maybe for certain ages, maybe for seniors, for men, for women, etc. And then they have the women's wheelchair division, probably the men's wheelchair division as well.
That's right. Okay, let's move on to the London Marathon in the UK. Now, this is known for its connection to charity. Charity here just means the general idea and concept of giving to those less fortunate. You kind of give money or food, clothing, anything you can, usually to an organization which is also called a charity. So there's charity, the concept, and then charity, a specific group who raises money or other supplies to help people in need, like children without parents, earthquake victims, people who suffer from particular diseases, whatever it happens to be that they're raising money for.
And it says here the event is the world's largest one-day fundraising event. So if you're doing fundraising, that means you're trying to raise money or raise funds for a cause. You may have a fundraising bakery sale at a school, for example. Maybe the school needs to raise some money for their music program or their athletic program. So they have a fundraiser. Some kind of bakery, maybe people offer bread or rolls or stuff for sale, cakes and stuff like that. And then the money that they get from selling those items goes to funding whatever they're trying to pay for. The example I gave was like school activities, music programs, or whatever. So this one, of course, is raising money for charity. And yes, indeed, there's lots of fundraising events around the world, but this one is the biggest one that takes place in just one day.
Yeah, and many people choose to run this race wearing costumes to raise awareness of various causes. Causes are the things you give to. They're your charities, your Save the Children, help animals, promote the environment, and so on. And whenever you see the London Marathon on TV, you will see hundreds, thousands of people wearing costumes, strange clothing. There could be giant animal suits, superhero clothes, anything that makes them dress up to look like someone or something else, many of which seem really impractical for long-distance running. But they carry, you know, they're big, hot, heavy suits, but they wear them and they run them in costume, and that they get sponsored, so people give them, you know, if you complete it, we'll give you this much for every mile or kilometer you run, and so on, and that's how they end up with this money, and often to raise awareness.
Raise awareness. So, for example, maybe somebody is trying to stop roadkill or something, like animals getting run over by cars, so they would dress up in a big raccoon costume because raccoons are always getting run over, so they're trying to raise awareness of this terrible thing. We need to stop roadkill. Those innocent little animals are getting hit by cars all the time, so somebody might wear a raccoon costume or whatever. A costume, of course, is a set of clothing that presents you in a different way. You might wear a costume to a Halloween party or something like that, dress up as a ghost or a witch or something like that. And awareness just means the amount to which something people know about. Awareness of these various causes, so people know about them. I didn't know there was a charity for that, so maybe I will donate some money. And so these offer a lot of amusing sights. Amusing means it's entertaining and kind of funny.
That's right. You'll look at it and go, why is somebody running in a giant bear suit? That is, well done, that guy. He's probably sweating and he's probably feeling very sick, but good on him. So the article finishes by saying, in the end, whether you run a major marathon or a local one, completing the course is one of the toughest things you'll do in your lifetime, and something you can look back on with pride. So It doesn't matter if you do one of these big majors or if you just do a local one. They're all the same distance. They're all going to take the same amount of training, preparation, work. They're all going to be painful. You'll need your endurance. So it doesn't matter where you run one of these. It's going to be one of the toughest things you'll do. If something is tough, it is very difficult. It's hard to do. You're going to have to spend a lot of energy, a lot of effort, maybe make sacrifices in order to complete that thing. If you're talking about a tough exam, it's a really hard exam. You'll have to study hard and you still might not end up getting a good grade. It's just really difficult.
You could also use the word tough to describe a steak that has been overcooked. Wow, this meat is really tough. I can't eat it. I'm going to send it back to the kitchen. But in this particular context, tough means difficult. So it's one of the most difficult things that you'll do in your lifetime, the toughest thing you'll do in your lifetime, and something you can look back on with pride. If you look back on something, you kind of reflect on things that have happened before. Hey, I'm looking back on my life when I was in high school. Boy, it was a wonderful time. I miss all my classmates, stuff like that. You might be looking back on your college days as well.
Yep, or just the things you've achieved. So you go, yep, I've run a marathon. That is, as Tom said, a big goal that many people have to kind of tick off and say, this is something that I have achieved in my life. I've run a marathon. Well, that brings us to the end of our article, but we're not quite finished yet because we've got time to go to our Chinese teacher once more.
在第3段要介绍的是 The Chicago Marathon。在这里呢，我们来看到第5个空格的句子。Many wheelchair athletes also blank 5, including Tatiana McFadden。在这里，因为呢这样子的马拉松赛道是非常的平坦，所以有很多呢是轮椅的运动员 wheelchair athletes， 他们也会怎么样？第5题 A。Take part 参加 B. Give in 让步投降 C. Go blank 脑筋一片空白 D. Make up 补偿。因为呢赛道非常的平坦，所以许多轮椅的这个运动员也会参与，所以第5题根据文意我们就选择标准答案 A. Take part。 第6个空格 The London Marathon is known for its blank 6 to charity。 而伦敦马拉松的特色呢，则是因为它跟慈善事业怎么样呢？第6题 A 选项 calculation 计算 B. temptation 诱惑 C. pollution 污染 D. connection 连结关系。正因为呢后面提到它有募款的这样子的行为，所以它是以呢跟慈善事业相结合而有名的，所以搭配文意第6题我们就选择 D 选项 connection。 接着我们来看第7个空格 In the end, blank 7, you run a major marathon or a local one. Completing the course is one of the toughest things you'll do in your lifetime and something you can look back on with pride. 在这里要考考同学们连接词的作用。后面提到呢，其实如果你可以跑完马拉松，可能是你一生当中要完成的一个最困难的事之一，也是一个呢你以后回头看可以很骄傲的一件事情。所以不管你跑的是一个重要的赛事，或者是当地的一个马拉松赛事，这件事情都是非常的了不起的。所以搭配文意第7题我们可以选择 B 选项 whether， 在这里呢就是有无论是 A 或者是 B 的意思。 OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
That's all the time we have for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program as we continue with the month of November. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.